Were you able to take a look at? Have you seen this link in the Wall Street Journal, guys? Here, let me share it.
For crypto?
Yeah, bots are manipulating the price of Bitcoin in the wild west of crypto. And my initial thought was bot activity is really definitely not limited to just crypto. Kind of seems a weird sort of wording that, bots are manipulating price. I mean, isn't that what Wall Street's run on? Is algorithms? I mean, I don't understand what makes these unique, and I wasn't able to tell what made it unique.
I know. I think some of these journalists they try to stretch to like find something, controversial to talk about on crypto. I think sometimes, you know.
I agree.
Well, we can hit on BTC first. I did want to talk a little bit about what we did in the markets because it's kind of a lot, kind of lining up for the back half of the year, and I kind of wanted to get your opinion too, Brennan, and yours too, Alec. But BTC, we talked about in our live session today, is absolutely dead. 4 hour. We're right in the middle of this pivot that we talked about yesterday. So you can call it the near term, call it intermediate term. I mean, near term really is 5 minute, 15-minute, 30-minute chart. But when we look at the 4 hour, the 6,800 is a pivot on the up. On the downside, 6,200, 6,300 is the bottom of the intermediate term risk range, and we're kind of stuck right in the middle. I looked at the relative value basis. Monero is cheap. Again, Dash was cheap on the lows. And Ether was actually rich coming in on the near term today. But then we went down the charts individually. Nothing's really going on. For those of you guys that do care global macro, we're still short some gold up here. I kind of like this 4 hour right in here at Pi. We've had two nice failures the last two times up.
Hey, be sure to give that retweet too before you get in here. Really get into the weeds. Make sure everyone that
block it.
Yep. So everyone that doesn't miss this.
Okay, good idea. You're good about that, Al.
Not to throw you off here.
I'm just so slow. I just click block it. Here we go. 33 seconds ago. 45 seconds ago.
The new record right there.
All right. I think I got it out. Yeah, so still short some gold from this morning. Maybe we squeeze a little bit higher. I think Goldman put out some report about EM stabilizing, which is kind of a joke to me. But the dollar hasn't really done that much to get gold up pretty good this morning. So we're leaning a little bit contrarian short. We kind of chopped it around on the 5 minute earlier this morning. Didn't have a lot of movement. We sold a little bit up in here. I get my screen share on. I mean, this was just go nowhere type of morning, covered a little bit. The better trade was in long bond. So we're still with this theme that growth slows, or the probability that growth goes from great to good, slowing on the margin in the back half of the year in the US is still pretty strong. So we've been buying dips on the long bond and did more of the same this morning. Came in long, popped some of that out. We got a pretty decent pullback on the 30 minute. We added, sold into the new high, kind of getting maybe another pullback this morning. I don't know if I'll go back in until maybe another 10 ticks lower, just because we had a pretty good morning on that side. I told my guys, if we're still dollar bulls. So if this daily cycle is pretty low. There's some room for us to maybe climb back towards 117. I really want to put some more back out short on the underside of 117. It's kind of the game plan there. Brennan, what are your thoughts outside of crypto lately? You're on mute, brother. Do I have to unmute you?
There we are. No,
there you go.
A little bit of user error, common mistake. No, that makes sense. I mean, I think when you look at the wider time range on it, I think you're looking at it exactly right. I mean, we're kind of right here near short term low. If it happens to, euro dollar happens to kind of hold right there, you want to play it for a penny, penny and a half. I think you probably got room for it. If it fails it, I'd be quick to get out of it, and then I'd probably press it, go short that thing, and then I don't know. I never try to call bottoms. I feel like the machines generally beat me, but right around 13.5 cents would make sense to cover that back and then flip it and go long.
Yeah. What are you thinking on stocks in here? I just think this rally's been very complacent. I mean, higher, low, higher, low, higher, low, higher, low. I think there's two big points here, 29.07. And then if we're really going to see any type of major correction, it's 28.65. And I mean, they've been pretty bulletproof. I'm just kind of cautious into the back half of the year.
Yeah, my quick thought on it, without getting to having not been as granular in that space, in a little while, but just talking to a lot of the, again, I was in New York last week. I always make time to catch up with a lot of my brokers and then a lot of my buddies who are still running trading desks, and performance is weak on the street right now. So, there's going to be a real fight to try to get. I mean, the S&P 500 or the benchmarks, it's assuming you're benchmarked to the S&P, is running away from a lot of guys right now, and it really makes them look foolish to their investors. So, to the degree that people are behind and they see trends like this, they're certainly going to be pushing them. They as long as they see a bullish market, they want to get involved on that. I think they'll be quick to minimize risk, but I think you're going to see a lot of action going into the holidays, largely because people are behind. And you're in the business of making money, and you can't afford to have your benchmarks run away from you. If you're a small to medium sized fund, that's real risk for you. If you're a behemoth, that's less risk, and you get a lot more get out of jail free cards, because investor money since the financial crisis has rushed to the biggest and baddest funds. Which I think is wise on one part, because those guys have been around forever, and they run multiple $billion, largely because of their track record. But there is a point where you get so big that it's difficult to navigate the markets effectively. You may have some great ideas, but if you can't sink enough capital into it, then the amount of money that you make on it doesn't make a dent, right? Yeah. And then you're just adding, you're just layering risk that isn't going to move the needle. So when you start getting really, really big, your investment strategy has to change. So for the large cap guys, I think they've got layers of insulation. For this, for the smaller to medium sized guys, you got real risk, and those guys are going to be fighting, tooth and nail, to get performance and remain competitive with their benchmarks. Otherwise, the question to your investors is, why do I pay you management fees? Right. Why are you making 1 in 15, 1 in 10, whatever it is that I'm paying you for, if you're missing the your benchmark by 400 points?
That's true. I mean, the active guys have done really poor, right? I mean, it's kind of one of the most hated bull markets, and so I think a lot of the faster hedge fund money wants to be short, and that hasn't worked out since growth's been accelerating since Trump got elected, and then now. I don't know. I just think it's so late cycle that those guys are going to run the chance of kind of buying into the last dip.
Yeah, which I think they're probably going to be encouraged to. Q1 was banging for equity funds, and then Q2 took it all back, and it's been a fight ever since. And you start running into summertime then, and you're behind. You didn't insulate your profits when you could, and now you're behind the curve. And I don't think the short game is the way that a lot of people inherently want to think about winning. They're more comfortable making their money, in a, on the long side of the market, unless the market distinctly tells them otherwise. I mean, you look at those charts right now, difficult to try to trade those small undulations. I mean, you're likely better off, buying and holding. Obviously, one of the major, I think, mistakes that a lot of funds have when they're trying to fight for, alpha generation, is over trading a book. And I think everybody falls into that play.
Well, I thought it was interesting too that the Russell is kind of breaking down in our model, and it was kind of the first to roll over in January too. So I think that's kind of a red flag. And then the VIX is still making higher lows, even though the Dow's Dow and NASDAQ are making, well, the Dow technically hasn't closed futures weekly level above a new high, but
Yeah, if I still had my Bloomberg, I'd be looking at I'd be monitoring short interest levels, right? As a layering that on top of technical analysis and a feel for the market and whatever your analysts are telling you, at the time frame. Are they bullish? Are they cautious? Whatever it is, and then the only telltale would be to monitor the short interest ratios of all your major holdings, the indexes, and see if that's increasing or decreasing, and then you can kind of play that game accordingly. If all your analysts are super bullish and the short interest ratio is running up, you're like, okay, well, wait a second, we're either dead ass wrong, or we're going to be able to catch a lot of juice on the upside if these guys are, if we're right and they're wrong. So I mean, that's always the toggle, but that's analytical firepower.
Yeah, we're gonna have to dig some data out on that. We should track that more often. And the positioning, we got the largest short positioning CFTC options and futures in the 10-year ever. It's like 786,000 contracts. And ever's a long time.
Yep.
So I think you got a good chance of a massive squeeze in bonds too, yields coming back off.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. All right. Well, that was a good rundown. I'd like to do some more of this global macro stuff. I know, especially maybe when crypto's slow, because both have, we all have pretty good background in that. And just talking crypto, it's all the same stuff. And crypto will be joining the global macro landscape too here. But we just keep it short, guys. I wanted to just show everybody kind of where to get involved with us. You're going to go to switch my screen. blockedgecapital.com. I didn't really hit on any of the YouTube comments. What's up, Doug? You guys are talking about the bots. Underneath the education tab here is the easiest way to come into our chat. I can show you quickly what that looks like too. And this is our crypto room. We had a couple people inquiring about that today. Yeah, you can pay in BTC. It's less than the cost of cable. But believe me, when this market gets going, I mean, we probably have 12 to 24 signals going off daily. So that's really good value. A couple of trading courses or our live session that we were talking about today. And that's pretty much it. Here's what our rival room looks like. You guys, just want to try to make it simple. Again, it's free to come into our trading community. I don't know how many we have in here now, Alex. It's over 1,000, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'll tell you what. I think that's really something too. And this River chat room. One of the things I miss most about my hedge funds is being able to log into my computer and have 200 emails from all the banks, saying here's our recommendations of buy and sell, all the news events that flow through, and all of our analytical reports. To have a trading community when you're doing this on your own is extremely important to stay plugged in, because you don't just want to be subject to the depth of your your ability to dissect the markets and the news of the market and figure and hear what people are doing. It's really value add to be a part of a network like this, where people are talking everything from from crypto to traditional markets.
Mm-hmm.
And as you start engaging a little bit more, right, you'll find guys who are generally more right than wrong, and hell, you may find the contra right indicator of guys generally just you love when he talks because you're going to take the other side. But either way, you start developing a community and the breadth of intelligence where people are going to go out and read whatever they read, post what they think is relevant and important to a group. And I haven't seen anybody that most of the things that I read people post is good value add. Some things that I might not have chosen to read on my own, but now somebody's alerted me that maybe I should have. It's a really good way of getting up to speed.
Yeah. No, that was you hit on that exactly. I missed that Bloomberg too.
Yeah,
Bloomberg chats.
It's just a rip off.
Yeah, I know.
Was it like $4,500 a month or something? I mean, it's awesome. But you manage your money, you're going to pay that down.
I know. Yeah, I paid $2,000. All right, guys. Well, good recap. Thanks for hopping on. Tomorrow we'll have a little bit more crypto focus, and then maybe we can get into some more stuff on the chat on the YouTube. And then we'll look forward to seeing some of you in the River room. Alec, do you have anything else, man?
No, until next time, guys.
All right, boys. Talk to you.
Take care.